since I've arrived. I did Patrick Bet David and sat on my laptop. That's all I've done. I've done Patrick Bet David, I sat on my laptop and I had Taco Bell, and I've got a criminal investigation?
Yeah.
What the it doesn't even make any sense.
Andrew Tate looks like he's running out of room to maneuver. The man who branded himself the top G once moved like someone untouchable, like he had every angle figured out. But lately, that larger-than-life image is starting to wobble. What used to look like a mastermind controlling the game now feels more like someone hustling hard to keep the spotlight and the illusion alive. From eyebrow-raising crypto promotions to flashy online programs that critics say felt more like pyramid-style setups than real education, he's tried nearly every trick to keep that image of power going strong. The message was always the same: dominance, success, money flowing non-stop. But the cracks in that story are getting harder to ignore now, and the whole situation feels less like a comeback arc and more like a ticking clock for anyone just catching up. Here's the quick breakdown. Andrew Tate first made his name as a kickboxer before flipping the script and reinventing himself online. His whole brand leaned heavily on extreme wealth, bold hypermasculine talk, and the idea that followers could copy his lifestyle if they paid for the secret formula. That formula usually came packaged as a $50 online course promising a path to the same flashy life. For a while, the empire looked unstoppable. Exotic cars, private jets, luxury properties, all of it pushed as proof he had cracked the code to beating the system.
New plan is that you buy a get-rich-quick course, gain power points, you have to stay subscribed to keep your power points, and then they say they will pay you a percentage that their school makes.
But everything shifted in December 2022. That's when Tate was arrested in Romania amid serious allegations connected to human trafficking and exploitation, and suddenly the narrative around him took a sharp turn. He spent more than 90 days locked in detention before things shifted in April 2023, when he was moved to house arrest. That situation dragged on for months, and by August 2023, he was released under strict conditions. One of the biggest rules? He wasn't allowed to leave Romania while the investigation kept moving forward, but the pressure didn't slow down at all. By August 2024, authorities placed him under house arrest again as the case expanded and more questions started piling up. And that wasn't the only legal storm building around him. Over in the United Kingdom, authorities issued arrest warrants for both him and his brother over separate allegations. Suddenly, the situation looked a lot tighter, like the walls were closing in from multiple directions. Yet through all of this chaos, Tate kept pushing new online ventures like nothing had changed, still promoting business opportunities and money-making systems across the internet. One major controversy centered around crypto activity. Even though he had publicly criticized cryptocurrency in the past, he kept showing up tied to promotions for questionable tokens. Critics pointed out a familiar pattern: massive hype, loud marketing pushes, then sudden price crashes that left people confused and frustrated.
There you have it. I mean, I can apologize. I can admit when I'm wrong. Clearly, it was a joke. Tate would never actually scam people with a coin. Oh, turns out he did.
Then came the real world. It launched as a Discord-style online community, charging about $49 a month to join. The pitch was bold. This was supposed to be the ultimate blueprint for financial freedom and the only real way to escape the Matrix. And here's the twist. Despite earlier skepticism about crypto, the platform even rolled out its own token, adding another surprising layer to the whole operation. Members were pushed to buy in with bold promises of huge returns and so-called insider opportunities. But once people looked past the flashy branding, the structure started raising eyebrows. The setup looked less like a groundbreaking business, and more like a system where members paid monthly fees while being encouraged to bring in new people. The value didn't seem to come from innovation or new ideas. Instead, critics argued it depended heavily on a constant stream of fresh sign-ups to keep the machine moving. To many observers, that structure started looking suspiciously like a pyramid-shaped opportunity.
That he was going to launch a crypto coin. So I immediately pointed out that over a year ago, Tate said that he didn't need to rob his fans. He wasn't going to launch a coin. Tate replied, "Imagine being such a great detective you can't detect a joke." Now, I'll admit that one stung a little bit. And when I did some research, I realized I had been tricked.
Are you going to launch your own crypto?
No, I'm never going to launch a crypto because crypto Twitter are full of the biggest degenerate losers on the planet. They're losers. Crypto is the only scenario I can think of where you can make a whole bunch of money while benefiting society zero.
Well, there you have it. I mean, I can apologize. I can admit when I'm wrong. Clearly, it was a joke. Tate would never actually scam people with a coin. Oh, turns out he did.
That's where the story was sitting for a while, until everything suddenly exploded toward the end of 2024. Fast forward to November 25th, 2024, when the situation took a wild turn. The platform known as The Real World was reportedly hacked, and the breach was massive. Chat logs connected to more than 800,000 users were exposed, and roughly 325,000 personal email addresses were also said to be leaked online. Even more surprising, the group behind the breach claimed this wasn't some advanced government-level cyber attack. They described the platform's security as shockingly weak. One sharp comment online even joked that Tate's site being hilariously insecure was completely on brand. Tate reacted in his usual loud style on Twitter. He brushed off the entire situation, even mocking the idea that it counted as a real hack. According to him, people simply paid for access and were reading chats anyway. Then he flipped the focus straight to money, bragging about subscriber numbers and calculating possible monthly revenue right there in real time. 800,000 members times $49 a month. That's the number Tate proudly threw out while bragging online, presenting it as proof that his empire was booming.
The goal is that you can buy the token and own a percentage of the school. So imagine you sign up for the real world, you start to make money, you focus on your tasks, then you can invest that money in the real world token and get paid every single month a monthly dividend from the profits of the school.
In his telling, the math alone showed unstoppable success. But what he didn't spend much time talking about was the other side of the breach, the private data that reportedly got exposed along with those chat logs. This wasn't limited to public chat rooms where anyone could scroll through messages. Reports suggested that private servers and direct conversations were also caught in the leak. That meant a huge amount of sensitive information was suddenly out in the open. And for scammers lurking online, that kind of database can look like a goldmine. Many of the people inside the platform had already shown they were willing to pay for online wealth programs, which instantly made them attractive targets for fraud attempts. A lot of members were also deeply interested in crypto, putting them right in the crosshairs for phishing schemes, fake tokens, and other digital traps. On top of that, some users had shared personal details inside private channels, things like email addresses, financial discussions, and even business ideas. Suddenly, all of that information was rumored to be floating around the internet. Critics called the situation catastrophic, but Tate's reaction surprised a lot of people. Instead of focusing heavily on the security failure, he leaned into the numbers again, showing off subscriber counts and painting the moment as proof his movement was huge and unstoppable.
All right, I think I get it. So you got the people at the bottom, they're paying up into the course, into the school. Then you got the people higher with higher power levels. They're making money from people at the bottom with the coin. And then all that money flows up. It's just kind of this nice little pyramid.
Still, one uncomfortable question started spreading fast online. If a platform is supposedly bringing in tens of millions of dollars every month from loyal subscribers, why keep launching new tokens every few weeks? Why continue pushing volatile crypto projects while claiming to run a powerful education empire? One viral reply summed up that tension in a single brutal line. Under his tweet, someone wrote, "You are making $40 million a month from subscriptions and still need to rug 5 new coins a week." And that question hit hard, because after a certain point, the story stops looking like bold entrepreneurship and starts raising serious doubts about what's really going on. When you stack everything together, growing legal pressure, international warrants, platform security problems, the whole narrative starts shifting fast. The picture no longer looks like an untouchable alpha running circles around the system. Instead, critics say it begins to resemble someone trying to squeeze profit out of every last bit of influence before the pressure gets too intense.
Those allegations have to be fully investigated, and then we go from there. The key thing is we don't tolerate the women or, frankly, the abuse of women. We do not tolerate that.
Over the past year, one thing has become clear to a lot of observers. The empire Andrew Tate built online may not be as solid as the image he promotes. While he seemed comfortable brushing off the chaos caused by the platform's data leak, another problem arrived that he couldn't simply laugh away on social media. Just weeks later, on December 18th, a London court ordered the seizure of more than £2 million from Andrew Tate over unpaid taxes. This wasn't internet drama or a debate on Twitter. This was a direct legal ruling targeting something far more serious, his money, and his reaction quickly turned dramatic. Instead of focusing strictly on the legal details of the ruling, Tate returned to the theme he talks about often, what he calls the matrix. He posted online claiming that first he was labeled a human trafficker, but according to him, authorities couldn't produce a single woman to testify against him. Then he added another claim to the story. He argued that after that accusation didn't succeed the way he described, authorities froze his accounts for years. Now, in his words, they were going even further and taking his money outright.
President Trump, Andrew and Christy Tate landed in Florida today on a private jet after being released from custody in Romania. They are accused rapists, not thought of as good people in many circles. Did your administration pressure the Romanian government to release them, and if so,
I know nothing about that.
Tate framed the entire situation as part of a bigger attack on anyone who challenges powerful systems. His message was simple and dramatic. Speak out, and they will try to destroy your reputation. Push back against the machine, and they will come after your freedom and your finances too. To his supporters, the situation sounded like martyrdom. To critics watching from the outside, it looked more like another attempt to deflect attention. But then something happened that genuinely caught a lot of people off guard. For the first time in nearly 2 years, the momentum appeared to shift slightly in the Tate brothers' favor. On January 14, 2025, a Romanian court lifted their house arrest. That meant they were no longer confined inside their property after months of being stuck indoors. Suddenly, they could move around again, at least within limits. But the freedom came with strict conditions. One rule stood out above all. They were not allowed to leave Romania under any circumstances while the investigations continued. It wasn't complete freedom, but after such a long stretch under tight restrictions, even limited movement probably felt like a win. For a moment, it looked like the pressure had eased just a little, but that moment didn't last very long. On February 10th, a new lawsuit surfaced that brought fresh controversy into the spotlight. An American woman accused the brothers of inviting her to Romania with promises related to adult work opportunities that she later claimed were misleading. With the ongoing investigations already hanging over them, many people assumed this new claim could push the brothers straight back into house arrest or even trigger tougher legal trouble. But then another unexpected twist arrived. On February 27th, Romanian authorities suddenly granted Andrew and Tristan permission to travel internationally. After years of strict limits, they were now allowed to leave the country, and they wasted no time making that move. The brothers quickly flew to the United States, and the internet exploded with speculation. Some people instantly assumed Romania must have dropped the trafficking cases completely. But that wasn't accurate. Reports indicated the investigations were still ongoing, which made the decision even more puzzling. Why restrict them for years, and then suddenly allow international travel? What changed behind the scenes that flipped the timing like that? The situation left a lot of observers raising serious eyebrows. Their sudden ability to travel came right after a major political moment in the United States.
Around the world, many of these victims coming forward, some of them minors, people can spin or defend however they want. But in Florida, this type of behavior is viewed as atrocious. We're not going to accept it. They chose to come here and set their feet down in this state, and we're going to pursue every tool we have within our legal authority.
Donald Trump had just been inaugurated again, and within minutes of stepping back into the Oval Office, he began signing a wave of executive orders. Some of those decisions quickly stirred controversy, including pardons connected to January 6th defendants. Around that same time, rumors started spreading online that the new administration might have quietly pressured Romanian officials to loosen the restrictions on the Tate brothers. Officially, there was never any public confirmation of that claim. No statements, no clear evidence, just a lot of silence from the people involved. Still, the theory didn't appear out of thin air. By that point, Andrew and Tristan had been very vocal about supporting Trump, regularly repeating his talking points online and going after his critics with sharp posts. Andrew even fired off a tweet aimed at Denmark's Prime Minister while backing Trump's idea about acquiring Greenland. In the message, he warned that they didn't want problems with him, which instantly caught attention online. The overall messaging was obvious. Politically, they were strongly aligned with Trump's side of the conversation. So when speculation started that Trump might have quietly helped them behind the scenes, some people online felt it wasn't impossible. When Trump himself was asked directly about the Tate brothers, he denied knowing anything about them. Still, supporters kept insisting that favors could have happened quietly in the background. Andrew appeared excited to finally be out of Romania after years of restrictions. He talked openly about wanting to stay in the United States long term and seemed energized by the move. But what he may not have expected was that some American officials were just as interested in him being in the country, just not for the reasons he likely hoped. After landing in the US, the Tate brothers headed straight to Florida. On paper, it probably looked like a comfortable choice, a Republican stronghold with a political climate they assumed might be friendly, but that assumption didn't last long. Florida's governor quickly signaled he wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet for two men dealing with serious international allegations. Even if part of it looked like political theater, the message coming out of Florida was blunt and impossible to miss. The signal was clear. They were not being welcomed with open arms. Andrew and Tristan may have expected the criticism to be mostly symbolic, just a quick headline for optics before things settled down. But that assumption didn't hold up for long. Florida authorities soon moved forward with opening an investigation connected to the brothers' activities. The state's Attorney General, James Uthmire, spoke publicly about it and didn't hold back. He made it clear that his office would be reviewing the situation closely and would pursue accountability if the facts justified it. That statement alone changed the atmosphere fast.
Welcome here, what to say, send back to Romania or whatever.
Well, we have no involvement in that. I read about it through the media, but the reality is, no, Florida is not a place where you're welcome with that type of conduct in the air.
Suddenly, the United States didn't look like the comfortable landing spot they might have imagined. Instead of stepping away from legal pressure, it started to feel like they had walked directly into another version of it. And when you look at the bigger picture, the pressure seemed to be building from several directions at once. Investigations were still active in Romania. Legal questions were hanging in the United Kingdom. Financial seizures had already happened in London, and now scrutiny was growing in Florida too. The story was shifting again, and the image of someone dominating the system began to look very different. Now it looked more like a man dealing with multiple legal battles across different countries. The more Tate tried to frame himself as a rebel fighting the Matrix, the more critics argued the situation looked less like persecution and more like consequences stacking up. For Andrew, the moment reportedly felt like a harsh wake-up call. After finally leaving Romania, he seemed convinced he had reached safe ground in the United States. In his mind, the storm was behind him. Instead, another one was already forming. And almost immediately, he tried to spin the Florida investigation as something politically motivated. According to Tate, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis wasn't targeting him because of the allegations at all. Instead, Tate claimed the real reason was political. In his version of events, the investigation happened because he had supposedly shown support for a different political figure rather than backing DeSantis' wife. Tate argued that the governor feared his massive online influence and believed his voice could disrupt certain political ambitions. He went even further with that claim. Tate framed himself as a kind of political kingmaker, suggesting that his endorsement alone could shift elections or sway public opinion in a serious way. At one point, he even labeled the DeSantis administration communist and boldly declared that the game is on. The message was loud and confrontational, exactly the kind of dramatic rhetoric his audience was used to hearing. But that narrative didn't hold up for long. One of the key figures Tate hinted he supported, Congressman Byron Donalds, publicly backed the Florida Attorney General's decision to investigate the Tate brothers. That moment undercut Tate's entire argument almost instantly, leaving the political explanation looking shaky. As the pressure grew, Tate started appearing on more podcasts and online interviews, launching into long speeches about persecution, corruption, and what he repeatedly calls the Matrix. The strategy seemed obvious: talk constantly, speak confidently, and try to reshape public perception through sheer volume. But as those interviews piled up, some of his own comments started creating new controversy. In one discussion, he compared aspects of his situation to Jeffrey Epstein's case, a comparison that quickly raised eyebrows online. In another moment, he talked about how someone like P. Diddy could end up surrounded by serious controversy, again sparking debate.
Public's, joking around saying, oh, what is the age of consent in America? 15, 16, 17? Oh, we can't remember. That's absurd. That is horrific. And anybody that's going to defend, that practice is on the wrong side of me, that's for sure.
One of the most shocking remarks came when Tate confidently said authorities would struggle to build a case against him because he wipes his phone every single night. That comment alone triggered a wave of reactions across social media. Meanwhile, the Florida investigation encouraged online researchers to start digging deeper into older material connected to Tate. Not long after, an old video began circulating widely on the internet. The footage showed Tate restraining a woman on a bed and striking her with a belt while speaking aggressively toward her. The clip itself was disturbing enough to spark intense discussion online. Reports circulating on social media also claimed the woman might have been very young at the time, though those claims remain disputed and have not been officially confirmed. Tate responded by releasing a statement from the woman, identified as Vivian, who said the interaction had been consensual and part of a private relationship dynamic. That explanation quickly started falling apart for a couple of big reasons. First, if the woman involved had actually been underage at the time, as some reports online claimed, then legal consent wouldn't apply at all. Second, leaked messages circulated online that allegedly showed Tate telling members of his team to contact her and guide what she should say publicly about the situation. Around the same time, older clips resurfaced, showing Tate talking openly about manipulation tactics. In those recordings, he described strategies for convincing women to enter adult work and how someone could maintain influence over them. As those clips spread online, the conversation around him intensified fast.
Guys have themselves publicly admitted to participating in what very much appears to be soliciting, trafficking, preying upon women.
At that point, the situation seemed to spiral beyond his control. No amount of interviews, podcasts, or speeches about the Matrix appeared capable of stopping the investigations surrounding him. Soon after, Tate left the United States and returned to Romania, saying the move was about proving his innocence. But many observers believe the reason may have been simpler: avoiding the risk of being detained while scrutiny was growing in Florida. Even after his departure, officials confirmed the investigation was still ongoing. Meanwhile, Andrew and Tristan Tate filed a defamation lawsuit against 15 Twitter users who criticized them, seeking at least $50,000 from each account. Critics say the move looks less like clearing their name and more like trying to pressure people into silence. With investigations still active in multiple countries, the pressure clearly isn't going away anytime soon. So what do you think about this entire situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates as the story continues.